Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Monday night mastermind. Thank you all for coming and being a part of this. So, as most of you guys know, we run this every single Monday night, and the purpose of this call is really to provide a lot of value, to give you guys a new perspective, maybe a paradigm shift into what else is possible besides how you've been doing your life up to this point. And, most of these calls are focused on multifamily, but it's not just about how to do multifamily. It's all the things that are inclusive in there. We've brought people on here. Thank you so much. We've brought people on here that have talked about social media, that have talked about CRMs, project management, operations in multifamily, podcasting, LinkedIn. These are all different parts of skill sets that you can add to where you are currently to help you build your either investor portfolio or really just to make better relationships, in your life. For me, in Instagram, like using Instagram, using social media has helped me bring on investors and reach people that I might have forgotten and also new people. Right? I have a lot of old colleagues, old friends, people that I went to school with, people that were in my fraternity that are reaching out asking about multifamily. And I always say everybody's really interested in real estate, but because they don't know how to be in it and they have a story that requires a lot of capital, we put it off and we put it on like, later. I'll do it later. I'll do it when I have some money. And we chase this potential by trading our time for money at our W-2 jobs or whatever it is that you do for work. Right. And my video guy is here today and we're filming and he's like, all right, let's really nail down your story. Like, what is your message? Who is your avatar? Who are you speaking to? Right. And there's a friend of mine recently that I met. Her name is Allie. Sometimes you'll see her on these calls. I have named my avatar Allie. Right. Somebody that is looking and seeking for something different, and they're already open. They're open to the idea that there is something that they can get into. There's a different vehicle that can take them to financial freedom other than the one that they've been doing their whole lives. And here's the problem is in confidence, right? And the confidence is because we've collected stories in our past of things that have not worked, right? And one of the stories that we landed on this in this brainstorming that my video guy and I did is about why I was really sad when my dad passed away. And it isn't because, he's no longer here. Of course, that is sad, but it's the regrets, the missed opportunities, the time that we didn't get to spend together, the business we didn't get to build together, that quality time that we kind of take for granted every single day. And death kind of gives us a new perspective. But the drift, let's call it the drift is still strong. Going with what we've done our whole lives, what's comfortable for us, we easily go back into, right? And then it just kind of becomes a memory. So what I realized then, and it wasn't until this interview that I kind of really, honed in on it, is that we trade our time for our jobs to have this sense of security, this paycheck, which, it's supposed to promise us this is the path to financial freedom. We work, then whatever money we have left over, we put it into our 401k, we put it into our IRA, and they're supposed to take care of our money. And we're supposed to retire with this big nest, or is it called nest egg? This big egg that is supposed to take care of you for the rest of your life. But people are retiring at 65. And if you live to 75, then that makes sense. 10 years, maybe with 400,000, 500,000, if you're lucky. But most people will retire without even that much money in their account, in their IRA account, because of the fees, because of this. And then they're going to tell you now's not a good time. And it always seems like when you're trying to take money out of those accounts, it's never a good time. There's always something going on in the market that is not the good time to take it out. Even if it's at the height of the market, where they're still going to tell you it is not a good time to take it out. You're like, hey, it looks like I made 70% on my investments. How come I only have this much if I want to take it out? And they'll give you a whole bunch of stuff, which doesn't even make sense to us. And it really angered me when I saw, when I started to, notice that the elders are working in, after retirement, they have a new career. They're now overqualified and they have a career in where high school students will come out and work, just to kind of, I don't know if it's to make ends meet, but there is a sense of scarcity. Like when you're holding on to a couple $100,000, knowing that you still got 20, 30 years to go, it's scary because that income that you've worked for is now no longer there. And so we continue to chase, and people are still chasing that right now today and sacrificing the time in which you could have been spending with your kids, the time that you could have been spending with your dad, with your mom, and I think about it today. I'm like, I haven't seen my mom in 6 months. How come? Because I'm building something here. I'm chasing after something that I'm building, right? I'm doing real estate, and going out there means I have to spend money on transportation to get there, money on my stay over there, money on renting a car, then spending whatever amount of money there and taking the time away from building my business. And we justify it to ourselves that it's okay. I'm busy. I'm too busy to go see my mom. I'm too busy to go see my dad. And life will give you this reality check. So I want us to live in the moment now, right? Because I'm always thinking if I work now, if I work hard now, later on, I will have this grand thing. We will be able to travel, go to these places, right? But if you're chasing a 9 to 5 job, what happens is you work, then you spend money, and then you get a raise. Immediately, the mind goes to, ooh, I got this new $10,000 bonus or a raise or whatever. And we look to things that we wanted to buy, right? We're looking at things that we're like, ooh, yeah, I've always wanted to get this. Now that I'm going to get a raise, I can finally get these Louboutin shoes. Now that I got a raise, I can finally go to Thailand or go to Bali, and you spend money on these things. So you go through this up and down. And I think we've all been there. I've definitely been there. I'll speak for myself. Like I made a whole bunch of money, too much money for how much I didn't even know how to spend it. And then all of a sudden I have nothing. And then I make a whole bunch of money and then I have nothing again. Right. And that is that continuous cycle, right, makes us really scared of taking chances because we're like, ooh, that happened to me while I had a secure job. And now if I go and bet on myself and I go into investments or I go into a different field or I start my own business, that's scary. And all the successful and wealthy people out there, they are not following what the corporations and the institutions are telling us to live our life by. All of them have a different story that isn't putting it into 401k and hoping somebody else is going to double it and triple it and quadruple it for us. They've all betted on themselves along the way somewhere, whether to start a business. And one of the things that I think Alex Hormozy said that really lands for me is you'd rather fail in 10 businesses and then create a business worth $1 million in 10 years than to make $100,000 a year at a job to reach $1 million. Right? Because at that point, the experience that you have, nobody can take away from you. Failing 9 times in business, nobody can take that knowledge and that experience. The emotions that you go through for that, you can't take it away. Now, on these calls, what I want to do is I want to always help compress time. You spending your time here, I want to make sure that it's well worth it, that there's something that I say here that lands for you. Maybe for Monica, she's going to call her mom right after this. Maybe for somebody else is I'm ready to take massive action. Because what we do is we kind of dabble in knowledge. We kind of dabble in all the information that's out there. So many people doing these Zoom calls, a million people on YouTube and Instagram talking about different ways to do real estate, different ways to invest. I don't know. What's the right answer here? Right? Without actually having your own experience and emotionally going through all the different things, you wouldn't really be able to know. Now, being on a call like this where somebody has gone through it, it should compress that time for you, right? If I had my biggest failure, I'm going to call it, was when I lost everything in the restaurant business, $450,000. Okay, that I was in debt when I exited the restaurant business. If I just had one of these calls just on restaurant business, so many mistakes I would have not had to make, right? All the pains I could have avoided just by being on these calls and hearing somebody that's had the experience to do so. So my passion is teaching, mentoring, and sharing my experience with people. And that experience is the failures that I've created, where I didn't have mentors, and then where I did, and then what vehicle I had lost money. And I'll tell you right now, in every single investment opportunity I've ever done, I've lost money in everything except for real estate. I've invested into, I don't know, the different types of green energy funds that they've created. It lost money in there. Actually, I was just on a call with my CPA, and he just showed me actually there's a green energy fund where they promise you 10% returns on your money. It was $155 million fund that the SEC just took over. Because what ends up happening for those types of deals, it sounds too good to be true. You invest money in here, it's green, energy efficient, whatever it is that they're doing, they're going to give you 10% preferred returns on your money. And so what they ended up having to do is they had to raise more money, and taking the money that they raised to pay out dividends to these previous investors. That is a Ponzi scheme. You cannot do shit like that. And so the SEC just took over this $155 million company. And let me see, what are they called? I wrote it down. Clean Energy Technology Association and Freedom Impact Consulting. These were the two that kind of together, they made this big portfolio that they raised $155 million. Right? Now, things like that, I think when we make an investment, we want to be one person away from the investment, one GP away from the investment. That is it. One manager away. If it's a manager, a financial advisor that tells you to put it somewhere else, where that is managed by somebody else, and it goes all the way up the chain, you have no idea what's going on in your investments, which is what all our 401ks and IRAs do. You have really no clue what's happening with your investment. You just kind of hope that it's going to be good by the time you exit, right? And how come the entire country, maybe 70% of the people are probably in 401ks and IRAs? And, how have we been enrolled into this, right? This sounds like just a terrible investment strategy. How's everybody investing into that? And when there's something like real estate, people are kind of like, ooh, I don't know, I don't know if it's going to be good, if it's bad. Real estate is great. Okay. That's the one vehicle in which I have not lost any of my investments ever into. And I'm extremely proud and, confident in this vehicle. So, yeah, I think in terms of investing, that's why I want to make sure that this call right here, we focus a lot on multifamily and, even other real estate types. And if you think you have to diversify, it's not into stocks and crypto. That's not really diversification. That's kind of diversification into a different vehicle. But in real estate, you can diverse into all sorts of different types of assets. And it's important for you to understand what your strategy is. What is it that I need? Do I need more cash flow? Do I want the equity bump? Do I want my capital protected so I can double my money more? Right. And we want to understand that there are places in the country where they offer higher cash flow returns. Right. The Midwest, if you go to Ohio and you go to Oklahoma, some of these states, you will get higher cash flow on your returns. but the equity bump, the appreciation will not be as much, right? Then there are markets in which you invest, the cash flow might be a little bit lower, but you might be able to 2x, 3x your money in 4 to 5 years. And last week I had just one quick example. And for anyone that missed it, real estate should be able to double your money every 5 years. You should be able to double your equity in a deal every 5 years. You put $50,000 into a $250,000 property or a $200,000 property. In 5 years, it should be worth $250,000. Okay, that's doubling your investments right there. See, the real estate went up by 50,000, but your investments doubled. Okay, so if we can do that every 5 years, your $100,000 invested into a deal in 40 years becomes $26.5 million. Okay, you take 100,000, you double it every 5 years. On the 40th year, you have $26.5 million, somewhere around that number. $26.5 million equates to about $1.3 million in free cash flow for you yearly. We can live off of passive income, $1.2 million a year, right? I mean, most people don't even think about that. But if you compare that to what they offer you in the institutional levels, how come they can't provide that type of returns? They can't provide that type of returns because everyone along the way that touches your account gets paid, and they get paid handsomely. People on Wall Street, so proud, and not no knock for anybody that's working on Wall Street, but just so proud of the commissions you make. Right? People make a whole ton of commissions just by being at the trade desk. Then you got the person that's on the top giving the orders, barking the orders, and they're making millions of dollars just in bonuses. So where is your money? Your money's paying for that. Okay, it's not just the investments paying for it, but your money's paying for that. Right? And so we have to kind of just shift our perspectives around what it is that we're doing. And if you look at the stock market and you look at, where people are invested with their 401ks and IRAs, there's about $1.3 trillion in there. That's what I heard. I hear that that's how much is in those accounts that are invested into your large corporations out there. Billions of dollars is going to exit in the next couple years. Okay. Our custodians that are moving IRA money to self-directed are all backed up because everyone's moving their money from IRA to self-directed so that they can invest into deals. There is going to be some sort of outcome to the stock market when all that money is pulled out. It's not going to show up immediately. Everything has a lag time, right? All this stuff has a lag time, and it's going to happen really quick, just like real estate, like the interest rates going up happens real quick, and then it's going to come back real quick. We are now in informational age. Okay, we're in the age of information. We're in the age of AI. Things are going to move much faster, and there is no timing the market. Okay, so if you are sitting here thinking, in 6 months to 12 months, I think the opportunities will come, do not wait for a bottom. That's going to be my one advice for investing in real estate is buy based on the underwriting, based on how it works now. And if it makes sense, use some common sense. Maybe it's not common sense, but common sense when you understand real estate to logically and critically look at what's going on in the market, right? So when you're at a 3% interest rate and you're going into a build and you think you're going to sell and make double the investor's money at 4.5% cap rate going out, in today's market with what's going on, all of those profits are going to be wiped out. Interest rate are at 6%. Nobody is buying your building at a 4.5 cap. So now all that the last year and 2 years where people, were promising that type of returns with new construction, with value adds, because of the interest rates, it's caused all the profits to be wiped out. All right. So common sense wise shows, okay, cool. Interest rates are low. If if it stayed there, then yes, we could have made that money. Now today, interest rates are high. that means now logically seems like the right time to buy, right? Because it's going to come back down, right? The direction it goes is going to go down because it was so high. It's going to come back down. The economy will stabilize back out. And now if you can get something into a deal today, that means when you exit at a lower cap rate or a lower interest rate, all that value is going to be gained, even if you don't do anything to the deal. You enter a deal at a 6 cap rate, interest rates come down, people can now afford your building at a 4.5 cap rate. And if this is too high level, please stop me. If you exit at a 4.5 cap rate, you're going to realize a whole bunch of profits just by holding on to something. Right. So now it seems like logically it's the time that people should be buying. But the masses, because we're kind of just like cows being herded by the government and by the stupid news, right? CNN and all that BS out there, that is creating a whole lot of consumer, what's not confidence? Fear. Let's just say fear. Yeah. Creating a whole bunch of fear where people are afraid to invest money. So today is actually extremely hard to raise capital. But I also think calls like these are helping people shift their mindsets, right? Because these calls are happening. Everybody's kind of in the same rooms, right? So we're in different masterminds. We're hearing from different leaders of the industry, and we've all done deals, so we can critically look at the information that we get, and what really makes sense we talk about on these calls. We help people critically think. So if there is investment opportunities, I want to take this call also to make it engaging, right? And that's why we're thinking we're going to do the networking part of it on the front end so that people can kind of loosen up a little bit, and then we'll go into some questions, thoughts. We'll go into multifamily investing, and answer some of those questions there. Like, what are you challenged by? What are you stuck with? And there is no accidents that you guys are in this room together. All right. If you break out into a room and Jessica's in the room with you, she might be the person that you needed to hear from to be motivated, to be inspired, or she might be the answer to your challenges right now, right? She might be the investor. Somebody might in here might be the investor that you're looking for, or might at least have the resources. So networking is it's probably one of the most, this billionaire said that he focuses on relationships with people. Millionaires focus on structures and business and the the operation sides of it, the standard operating procedure sides of their businesses, and vertically integrating. Billionaires focus on relationships because they know that it's one person that will completely change everything for them. So we have an opportunity here to do so. I hope that everybody, capitalizes on it. The risk of doing this breakout room in the beginning of the call is people may leave because they don't want to have these conversations. They're like, I'm just here to listen. Well, even if you're here to listen, just hop into those rooms and share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what do you do, what are you looking for, what are your challenges right now in terms of finances, right? Like, where are we still chasing time for money? Just get to know each other a little bit. Take about 2 minutes to introduce yourself. This is an opportunity also to practice your elevator pitch about yourself. When someone says, what do you do? Who are you? And you can share. You want to, if it takes you 10 minutes, you want to be able to cut that down into 5. If it takes you 5, you want to cut it down to 2. And eventually you want to be able to say just one sentence and people will kind of understand what you're doing, or at least be intrigued to ask, oh, what is that? Right? Because everything, we want to make sure that it's an invitation. It's not just us puking on people. Right? Oftentimes I hear, when somebody asks me what I do and I tell them, immediately what they're thinking in their mind is they're getting ready to puke on me with what they do. People will literally go and set up on my Calendly and have one-on-one calls. What do you do? What do you? I can tell they're not even listening. They're like, uh-huh. Oh, I got this deal that that's over here. I'm like, all right, cool. Right. So there's just like an agenda behind it. Let's go into these networking rooms without an agenda behind it, but really to see, yeah, no puking, really to see if there is some synergies between the people in the room. Okay. So, um, yeah. And then I like to start this call off with, if you want to put in the chat here, what are you grateful for today? I'm going to say for me, it is, getting to sit down and create clarity around time, around the time that I've wasted and the time that that is important. Like, what am I doing? Is it valuable? Is it meaningful? Is it fulfilling? And getting to have a chance to have this conversation today with my videographer, I'm extremely grateful for him and for that conversation. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Health and family. We all say that. When was the last time you called your mom? When's the last time you called your brother, your sister? We know what's important. Oh, look, here comes Allie. She missed it. She missed my acknowledgement of her. So I'll be really, really quiet and awkward for Allie coming into this room. Allie, you missed it. You missed the whole thing, Allie. Yeah. Okay. So what we'll do. Yes. Oh, there she is. Hi.
I missed
it. You're gonna have to see the first part of the replay. I gave you a shout out. So there's Allie, everybody. It's too late. Hi. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a breakout room first, get everybody kind of get the blood flowing a little bit, and then we'll come back and see if we can create a more engaging environment in this room, a more engaging container. All right. So if it's not your time to network, still feel free to hang around. But yeah, Nick, why don't we bring people out into the breakout rooms first, and we'll experiment with this. See how.
All right, so they're open.
Great. All right. Welcome back, everybody.
Too soon. I was just getting into my questions.
Oh no! Oh no! I wasn't sure. I was kind of seeing. I'm like, oh, we lost 6 people just from breaking out into rooms. People are like, people don't really want to talk.
People don't really want to talk.
Yeah. So
Alex, Katie had a really good question that maybe you could address later in the call.
Let's go. This is why we did the breakout room, so everyone kind of gets on camera. Look how many people are on camera now. I see faces. So now people can, now let's ask some questions. Let's get it going. Let's get this call.
Let me start with that question. Okay.
Yeah.
So just a brief background about myself. I've been in law enforcement here in South Florida for 14 years. I'm looking at whatever options my husband and I have been discussing for years already. We've been dibble dabbling in whatever we can figure out. We're looking into obviously passive income enough for me to at least be able to quit, to stay at home. I have 3 kids, and we all know nobody wants to work until you're 60 something and then try to enjoy life. That sucks.
Yeah.
So, everything happens for a reason. I heard you say it earlier. You meet people for a reason. And I reached out to somebody today who provided me with the Zoom call, which I'm thankful for.
Oh,
and
nice.
My first question, because I know nothing about the family housing and investing in this portion of real estate, is what fail safes or legalities are in place to ensure that this large amount of money that I could be investing with somebody that I've never met before or don't have a relationship with, that's they're not going to run away with it or not pay me what I was supposed to get.
Yeah.
I'm a cop in Miami. We deal with fraud as our #1 crime. And I think that's like the first thing on my mind when I hear this.
Yeah. So I think the first thing is get to know the people that you're going to invest money with, right? I would say that's kind of important. That's why when people buy this whole list of investors, I'm like, who invests like that? I don't know if anybody ever invests like that. Just like, I don't know who you are. I don't know the deal. I don't know anything about you, but here's $100,000. That just sounds like it never happens, right? So yes, get to know people, right? So like in this type of stage, like, all right, well, Alex has been doing this for over a year. That means people are here. I'm always going to be able to find him, right? He's got a lot of people following him on social media. He's trying to be an influencer, this types of stuff. So reputation is important. Okay, I can trust that somebody cares about their reputation, right? So that's one. Then just being on these calls to see if you feel aligned to the person that's showing you the deal, right? Because there's sometimes people that are just about money. They're just about money. They're just about, hey, I need your investment, and that's it. There's no like deepening and building of the relationship. So everything that I teach is about building relationships first. If you're raising capital, it is a spiritual practice about building relationships. And, take whatever information you can learn from here and figure out what is the massive action that I'm going to take after being on this call. Maybe it's literally, I'm going to spend an hour or 2 hours a week on calls like this. Boom. That's massive action. It's commitment to something, right? All commitments and all actions that you take have a reaction. So I would say on the legal side of it, look at the documents, right? So there is documents, look at the properties. If you can go visit the property that you're going to invest into. Is this even real? Is there a building here in this address that they sent me? Is it match, the deck? Because there could be. I don't know. I don't think that people are around long enough when they do things like running away with people's money, right? So the chances of you running into them are probably slim, especially if you kind of just vet it out and be there for a little bit. Ask, do you have references of investors, right? Like if you're on this call and you're like, I'm trying to figure out if I should invest with Alex. Okay, well, anybody on this call, is there anyone that's here that invested with him? Okay, there are some. How's that going? How's the communication? How's the, how's the deal coming along? Right? These are important things. Now, we can't always say, this is why I say it's kind of, if when people are offering a return, they're guaranteeing you a return, they can't do that, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. People that promise returns, all it takes is interest rates going up and the banks wanting more reserves in the bank. That eats away at the cash flow. Now you can't pay that to your investors. Insurance going from $600 a door to $1,800 a door, all of a sudden you're out $1,200 per unit that you can distribute out. Right. So it's very important to be upfront, know how it's structured, check people's track records. What deals have you done? What have you, ask around. How's this Alex guy? Is he an integrity? Does he have good values? Is he a good person? And that's kind of how you would go about doing some due diligence, just like doing due diligence in the deals. Now, once you get into the deals, there are two different types of investments in multifamily when you're going into a syndication. There's a couple more. There's JVing, which is just your general, what's it called? Wow, JV, joint venture, right? So there's joint venture where a couple people come together and they buy a deal. Then there's syndications, which is what we talk about here, is we collaboratively come together and buy a larger asset than we can do by ourselves. And so somebody has got to run the asset. So now I get to create passive income for myself and I'll be involved as much as I want. Right. So the managing partner like myself, you want to see what's the communication like? How do you do your communications with me as an investor if I invested with you? Well, one, you get a newsletter. Two, there is weekly calls on Saturday for all of our investors. So now it's not just isolated between you and the deal that you're doing, but wow, there's all his investors on all different deals. That shows transparency. So these are kind of things that you can look for in terms of that. Now, the two different types of syndications is 506C and 506B. I'm kind of stuck, not sure which one I want to go with, because 506B allows people that are unaccredited to invest. That means they make less than $200,000 a year, or in their family, they make less than, between the couple, less than $300,000. Okay, so you're unaccredited. That means we have to have prior relationship. That means you have to be on this call. We have to have multiple conversations before you can even invest into my deal. 506C is for accredited investors. Anybody that makes over $200,000, and you can publicly advertise the deal, but you cut out all the people that I believe actually needs this, right? The people that can only invest 50,000, 100,000, your friends and family that are not already well off and have 500K to throw into a deal every couple months. Those are the people that really need this. So I'm kind of like in the middle of like, do I do a B or a C? So far, I've done a lot of Bs because I want my friends and families and people on these calls to have an opportunity to invest into a deal if you're unaccredited. Now, a lot of people graduate and move into the accredited part. And they're just like, all right, forget all the smaller investors. We're only going to go after big investors. Big investors, they already have the experience. They know how to invest. They're easier to deal with, which is fine. That's the approach. But for me, like, I'm very passionate about teaching and mentoring and providing opportunities for people that need it more. I always say, like, this is the one example I use is 8 billion people on the planet. 2 billion make less than $2 a day. And those are the people that need opportunities, need support from the advanced and wealthier countries. And how come we don't do things about it? They say $100 billion ends world hunger. 1,000 companies in the US make $100 billion. And how are we allowing world hunger to still exist? Right. So this is the type of mindset that we have to have self-awareness of, which is, it's not just about the money. It's about people. It's about people that need it and who can you serve. So I'll have smaller deals. Smaller deals will be, 506Bs, because you can allow 36 non-accredited people to be in those deals. That's it, 36. That means you also have to have a minimum. Minimum is 50,000 on our deals. If we put somebody if we have a $5 million deal and we need to raise 2 million, and somebody comes in with 10,000, they take up one of the unaccredited spots, and 10,000 is never going to get us. A collection of 10,000 is not going to get us to 2 million. Not enough, at least. So that's also one of the things to consider in these deals. And then those documents they're regulated by the SEC. That means when we do syndications, they have to approve it. And the more partners you have on the deal, usually it represents more protection for you as well. If it's just you and the one person running the deal, chances of them running away with it probably higher than if 20 people were invested on that deal. Now that I'm not saying that's a fact, because Madoff like ran off with a whole bunch of thousands of people's money. But when you know that there's an asset behind it, it's not just like paper. I'm not just investing into a piece of stock that says I have ownership in this company. I don't know how many times that's been split up. They can do whatever they want with it. Tomorrow they can say, all right, your stock has we're splitting it or something, and then now like your one piece turns into two. Good, but they can do anything they want to do. Right. So that's something also to consider when you're looking for a vehicle to invest your money into. So I hope I answered that question. That was really long. Sorry about that.
Sounds like my answers.
Yeah. I just tangent off into as much information as I can dump into that answer as I can.
Secret superpower, talking too much.
Yes.
Great. Right. It's great information, though. I appreciate the lengthy answer.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here.
I got lots of questions. I can give you another one.
Sure.
I don't know about this, so
hold on. Well, one sec. If anybody else has questions, just put the emoji to raise your hand so we know that there are other questions. I like to give everybody a shot. Now, if there's not another question, Katie, of course, feel free to just keep asking away.
So I don't know anything about the investing. So when you guys invest to purchase a multifamily property, is the return looking like you want to fix it up, flip it, and sell it, and everybody gets pieces of that? Or is this a long-term rental kind of property where people go inhabit it and then it's a constant income?
Yeah. So multiple things happen in a deal. Different types of deals let's just look at it as a single family. You can buy a piece of land, you can build a house, sell it, split the profits. Okay. Whether it's 50-50, 70-30, whatever that be, there's a split on the profits. Or you can buy a property and the manager runs it. They get a percentage for running it. And then you are passive. And then you guys collect the profits through a period of time. And then it goes into the refinance. You get your money back, do it again, but you stay in the deal. All right. So now you own this property. You have no money in it. You still get some cash flow. Move on to the second one. And then you do a refinance on both in like 5 years. And now you go into 4. And then you refinance all 4, or you sell some and you go and you double. So you want to double your portfolio every like 5 years. And that's the goal to do as a passive investor. Now, if you're like, I kind of want to do it myself too, I feel like trading time for money is something I want to still do. Good. Go ahead. Do that. You can invest your money and your energy and your time and your tears and your sweat and your blood all into the same thing. Get a higher return on the money, but just know a big portion of that money comes from your sweat equity. Right. So when you're talking about investments and getting passive income, can you do it scaled out exponentially? Can you have 1 million deals going passively? Yes. Can you have 1 million deals that you're running passively? No, you can't. You can't have 100 million single family houses. All right. So that's a different way to look at it. So I'll just, I'll use an example for the deal we currently have. So it is a 70-30 split. Okay, so that means all profits. We make $100,000. Our investors get $70,000. The managing partners, which is me and my team, we put the deal together. We put up the money to get it under contract. We put up the money for the inspector, for legal, for everything else, and then we get the deal. We raise the money, right, to get the deal closed. We sign on to the loan, so we get 30% of it, and 70% of the profits go to our investors. And then we do an underwriting to see how much does that 70% generate. Usually somewhere between, if you're going in and you can have a 3 to 5% cash flow, that's pretty good. Okay. That's actually pretty decent that you want to get into. Plus, if there's value adds on top of it, that means, okay, if their rents are below market rents, that means we can increase the rents and increase cash flow. Or we can renovate some units and get higher rents. Great. Or we can lower expenses to increase the cash flow. There are all different types of things that you can do, right? Or we're going to build 10 more units. We're going to build 20 more units on the land. All value adds on top of the going in cash flow. So what you want to look at in a deal is what is the cash on cash return? And then what is the projected multiplier? That means if I put 100K in, how many times am I going to multiply this money in 5 years? Most of us syndicators, we will do a projection model based on 5 years. Okay, now if we're going to sell it then or not, maybe not. But, real estate is something that you kind of want to hold on to as long as you can. Refinance the money out, have no money in the deal, and own the deal. Let it keep appreciating. Let it keep collecting cash flow. So we never really want to think short-sighted, like, let me buy and then let me flip. That's no different than your W-2 or sales job, or your, working in law enforcement. You're trading your time for money. I'm going to go and put money into this deal. I'm going to renovate it. I'm going to sell it. And then I'm going to collect the profits. You're going to be taxed heavily, just like your W-2 job. Just like any capital gains, you will get taxed heavily. In multifamily, when you invest it like this, the goal is not to pay any taxes either. So one of the things you want to start to look into is, how do I become a real estate professional? Either myself or my husband, your partner, you guys want to become a real estate professional. That means all the money and the depreciation you collect from your investments, it can offset yours and your spouse's W-2 income. All right. So now we figure out, all right, how do I not pay taxes? Even if you or your partner have a W-2 income, you can still figure out ways to offset it. This is how the wealth keep their money. That money that is kept gets reinvested into more deals. For me personally, every year towards the end of the year, I talk to my CPA and we strategize. Okay, this is how much money I'm expected to make. How much money do I need to have in deals, right? So that we can, every year you get a K1, you get a depreciation on a property. So the easiest way to explain that is, if you buy a $270,000 property, the government allows you to write off 10% or lets you write off the entire property itself, the building, in 27 and a half years. That means every year you get about 10% write off as a depreciation, as a loss against your income on that deal. What we do is we do something called a cost segregation. We push all of that 27 years depreciation to the first 5 years. That means you put 100,000 in, you may get $55,000 to $60,000 of depreciation on your first year. Okay, so any rental income you collect on this deal, it will not be taxed. If you are a real estate professional, you can write that off against your W-2 income or your partner's W-2 income. All right, so that's the one wealth generating tip first, and that's kind of like the easiest way I can explain it. Simplest. It might be hard to understand right off the bat, but hearing it a couple times, asking the questions a couple times will help you reinforce it and learn it. But yes, real estate is the way to, I think, is the best vehicle to create financial freedom. And then we can talk about strategies of how do I replace my W-2 job? How do I replace that income? What do I need to do? And I'll answer that after I answer these questions. So yeah, thank you for your questions. And if Jake and Brandon finishes and there's no other questions, you can ask another one. But yeah, appreciate you being here and good to meet you. Brandon.
What's happening, man?
Yo, what's happening?
What's going on? Yeah, Katie, great questions. I've got kind of so I'm coming from a little bit different angle. I've been investing in real estate for quite some time on a small level, like house hacking, triplexes, JVs with partners on, triplex. We got an 8-unit, things like that. And I still work a day job. I work a W-2. My wife is a real estate professional. She is a wholesaler and she works on a wholesale team. And first, I just want to say thanks for putting this call together because we have belonged to other communities, and I just vibe a lot with you. I learn a lot even from very short calls. One of the things that I've never really I've learned about it. I know about it. It's the syndication side. And like part of what Katie's asking, it's like, how do you set up the legal docs and all that and actually get into a place of where you're doing syndication? So my question is more for somebody like me who I have experience in management. I have experience, doing a couple deals here and there. And, especially on the lower end, it is a lot of work. But, how do I transition into pretty much doing what you're doing? Like, how do I start doing, like, how do I actually do my first syndication? Because I feel like I've been chasing this rabbit for so long. And it's like, how do you actually get into doing the first syndication? Because like you said, it's a lot of relationship building and, legal docs and all that. And then you have to identify the deal and lock it up. And it always just seemed like so complex, but I see that more and more people are doing it and they're doing it successfully. So I'm just thinking, why, what am I missing, or what do I need to do to kind of make that shift into the next level and actually do my first syndication? And I think part of your answer is going to be invest as an LP in a syndication, right? But
well, I think becoming an investor is the first step, because if you're going to raise capital from people, you need to know what it feels like to hand somebody a big check, right? Because when you know that the emotional feeling of taking a 50,000, 100,000 and give it to somebody else, there is something that you have to overcome yourself. And when you've done that, you will become a more effective syndicator because you're going to raise capital and you'll know, okay, people that are newer, this is how I have to hold their hand because I know what it's like to go through it. And that's important. Now, my answer is every single one of those people, including myself, that became really successful fast is because we found a team. We found a team that we can work with that had the capacity to take me on, right? You have experience and you have value that you can offer to a team. It's just, does the team have the space for you in that position? right? So now you got to seek it out. You got to find all the different operators out there. Hey, what, where are you looking, right? You get to know them. Like, okay, if you vibe with me, all right, I would love to do a deal with Alex. Then you figure out, all right, Alex is investing into Florida, into North Carolina, Georgia, and Las Vegas. So then if I want to get on my first deal, the fastest way is let me go look in those markets. Let me look in those markets and I could bring a deal. Think about this. If you were to come to me tomorrow, and I'm already doing deals in these areas, my buy box, and you come and say, hey, I found a great 40 unit deal in this. I know you're looking right here. I don't think anybody's got it. I think this is a great deal. Let's underwrite it. Let's look at it. And I can also bring $500,000 to the table. Now that's going to be the fastest way for you to go in. See, I'll share my story. So when I first joined Grant Cardone's real estate club, I was looking for somebody to teach me and lead me. I knew that it wasn't going to be Grant because Grant is too big and he's too far. He's too far ahead of me. Wait, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Grant is too big and he's not going to do any deals with me. He can teach me some high level stuff, but I'm not really going to understand it because it's too big and what he's doing. I need to be in a deal. So I found people that are doing deals in the club. I identified them really fast. And I was like, all right, what, you got a deal going? So I started investing with them. Now, some of them basically just took my money and, we don't really have that much of a relationship. I wanted to be in the room. If you invest money, what else can you get in returns from investing that money? I don't just want returns on money. I can do that myself. I want the relationships that they have, right? I want to be in the room. I want to hear the conversations they're having about different markets. So that's what I really want in return. And eventually I ended up with, Mike Bailey and John Sidoti and some of these guys that have been, around on these calls and they're doing things. But we did our first deal together. They brought me in. They're like, wow, look at this Alex guy. He's running around everywhere. He's creating these calls. He seems like somebody we may want to bring onto the team before somebody else scoops him up. And because I was making a splash, I was making noise everywhere I was going. And they were like, what can you do? I was like, well, first I can raise capital, right? I can bring 700K to a deal right now. Because I was already in a bunch of deals in partnerships and it was backed up. I didn't have enough deals for the people that wanted to invest with me. So moving into multifamily was like, ooh, I can put all these people in this one deal. Awesome. All right. So I was like, I'll raise all the money on this deal. So they gave me a shot and it was a 42 unit industrial storage in Savannah, Georgia. And I raised 90% of the money in the first 3 weeks for them. Now it'll get a little challenging, but it'll also get easier. And they're like, whoa, okay, well, we have 2 more deals. Do you want to be a part of that? I'm like, yeah, definitely. Let's go. Raise capital for those. I didn't ask for big percentages or I didn't really care. I just wanted to be along for the ride. And I learned so much in the first 3 deals. The fourth deal was 174 units. It went 42, 18, 24, and then 174 units. Now I'm like, okay, well, we got to play in partnerships with other teams. It's a 17 million, $14 million deal, something like that. And we had to raise. So I raised $1 million on that deal as well. They're like, wow, look at this guy go. I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to do it on my own, but I still need somebody to hold my hand. So I brought them in. I brought the person that gave me the shot. I was like, come onto this deal with me. You don't have to do anything. Handhold me for everything that I'm doing. If there's any gaps that I have, fill it for me. He's like, fine. I'm like, you'll get this percentage, but you don't got to do anything. Don't even raise capital. I don't care. Just be my advisor here. And so, yeah, then we did a 300 unit industrial storage deal in Fort Pierce, Florida. And that was awesome. That's my first lead on a deal. But it took me 5 deals before that to really have the confidence to go do it on my own. And now I have my own deal again, a $5 million deal in Las Vegas. And, after this one, I think I will move on to something bigger, like a $20-30 million deal. So you kind of you want to see everything that you do as, 1, as an investment, 2, as, is it my stepping stone? Is this person my stepping stone? Is this deal my stepping stone? Because your one deal is not going to make or change for you. You get involved in your first deal. Yeah, don't expect really to make much money at all on it, right? But you want to be ready. Like, what would it take for me to be ready to be a part of a $100 million deal where my share is going to be $200,000 up front and, $1 million, $2 million in equity in the deal. Now those are life changing. And you do one, it requires you to have the right relationships. It requires you to be a certain level of capital raiser, professionalism in the space. And, that's why I would say that's the beginning, I guess. I just went from beginning to the end. And maybe that's not even the end, but, to begin, just ride with a team. Somebody that's like not this far ahead of you, but like this far ahead of you that can simply walk you through and handhold you through the deal. Right. So then you have to figure out what value you can bring. I always say this on my calls too. I'm like, people ask me every day, how can I help you? I'm like, bro, helping me is not to give me a homework assignment for me to figure out how you can help me. Like, you tell me based on what I shared, based on my deals, study what I'm doing, and then you tell me how you can help me. You invest into my deal, you're like, man, these freaking newsletters that you send out look so boring. I can make it better. Hey, Alex, I think I can help you on your investor relation part. I can make really badass flyers and newsletters for you because I'm a beast with Canva. Ooh, okay. That means you can learn everything else, but if you can just make something a little bit better, you have added value there to a team. And every single one of you guys on this call, there is something that you have that can add to the team. Promise you that. You may not recognize it right now, but every single one of you, regardless if you have money or not, have something of value to offer a team. Does that help?
It helps, man.
All right, cool.
I don't know if I can. That's pretty impressive. The your capital raising skills. I think that, like you said, that takes a lot of cultivating the right relationships to be able to do that. So
yeah, but that's me though. You don't have to do that. You may find a good deal in your backyard and you're like, hey, I'll be the boots on the ground here and I will oversee the management company. I got no money and I can't raise no money. I can't do nothing, but I found this deal and I can do anything that's boots on the ground. You need me to be here for an inspection? I'm here. You need me to talk to the management company? I'm here. There are plenty of people on my GP teams for my deals across the board that didn't bring any money. I actually didn't bring money to the first two deals that I was a part of. You don't have to. See, that's what we have to change is our perception of money. Money is no different than your energy and your time. And so bring one of those three things and you could be a part of a deal.
Great. That's awesome. Helpful. Thanks, man.
Yeah. And you showing up on these calls and me seeing your face over and over just builds this trust as well. Right. So if you like a team, show up to the things they do. If they have a meetup in your backyard, go to it. If they have a meetup a couple hours away, go to it. The more extreme you can make your story of your commitment to a team, the more likely they will be like, yeah, we want to bring Brandon on. All right, so this is all part of relationship building. If it's easy, it's probably not going to pay off that well.
That's great. Great answer, man.
Thanks.
I
try. All right. Hey, Jake, go ahead, brother.
First of all, great questions, by the way. My question was kind of something you mentioned earlier. As most people here are probably W-2 workers, as myself, you said that there's a possibility of there's ways to writing off your tax even for a W-2 job and offset that. And you said the difference was between being a real estate professional and just being in real estate. So I was wondering if you could clarify what the difference is in between that. Whether what does it take as an investor to become a real estate professional outside of just being a real estate agent?
Yeah. Well, real estate agents work around. Dude, I'm gonna mute you. All right. Real estate agents work around real estate so they could become real estate professionals. Like they can technically on the IRS form be like, yep, I'm a real estate professional. Cool, good. Your W-2 job, what you want to start to think about is if I make $100,000 and they take 30,000 away from me, I make 70. If I go into becoming a part-time and I make 70, but they would have taken 20 away from me, but I'm a real estate professional and now I'm doing part-time and I don't get my taxes paid off. Now you've gained $20,000 that you save. So you could work half the time and make 70K as a real estate professional, or you can work full time and make 70K as your W-2 job. So we want to start to kind of look at that for ourselves. Okay, if I'm going to become a real estate professional, here are the criterias. A, 750 hours a year spent on real estate related things. This call, real estate related thing, right? Any calls you have with investors, real estate related things. Now, if you invest into real estate, on paper, it actually gives you more of a case that yes, you are also a real estate professional. They're not going to challenge you. You're not just putting that on there because you say so. Hey, I'm invested into deals. I'm doing deals. I've taken these webinars. I've taken these courses. These all take a bunch of time, right? So you want to, if you're kind of like unsure, you want to track your hours. For me, it's no doubt. There is no doubt in my mind that if the IRS won't even audit me because all I do is real estate. I have investments. All my income comes from real estate. So they're not going to question if I'm a real estate professional or not. But for you, your W-2 job also cannot exceed the amount of hours that you work on real estate. So you have to have at least 50% of your time spent on real estate on top of the 750 hours that equals real estate professional. That's why we want to start to look at, okay, how do I make my full-time a part-time, right? Earning the same amount of money because I'm a real estate professional now. All I got to do is invest. If I make 70K, I got to invest somewhere around 70K, right? So that I can get a tax write-off against my income. Maybe it's got to probably be like 120K. But if you can invest 120, now that offsets my income. Next year, same thing. You can just do it over. And what you don't use, the good thing about this is what you don't use carries over year after year until you use it up. All right. So if you're not a real estate professional and you get the deduction, let's say you get a $40,000 deduction on your IRS forms and you only got 6,000, 7,000 in rental incomes from your investments, then you still have $33,000 to use next year. And then it just keeps going. Okay. Until the end of time, your time. So your question was
the difference between, just you kind of mentioned it, just the difference between being a real estate professional and just being in real estate and utilizing that tax benefit, which you kind of touched upon already.
yes.
So
oops, I muted you. Sorry. You gotta mute yourself. Or get a better speaker or mic or something. All right, well, cool. So Jake here is a fraternity brother of mine from back in the day in college. He's seen my ups and downs. So when I tell my stories, Jake witnessed it, where I actually bought a triplex on our college campus, killed it. I thought I was the man, I was financially free, right? The first 2 units paid for my unit that I was living in, paid for the mortgage, paid for my cell phone and my car. I'm like, I made it. I took Robert Kiyosaki's advice. I'm out the rat race. But I don't know. $12,000 is still only $12,000. Right? I can't really do anything. So I leveraged my property and I bought 2 restaurants. So you saw the 2 that's on University Ave, and you were there all the time. Lettuce Wake and Bake was the name of my restaurant. I know, pretty cool. There was people were running there was one marathon that people ran like across in front of my store, and literally we were standing outside. People were pointing up at my sign and tripping over each other during the marathon. It was hilarious. They're like, look at that name. college, young, I'd do it again. But I would have a mentor this time. Yeah. So cool. Great questions. Who else? We got about 8 more minutes here. Take questions, comments. We're going back to Katie if you guys don't got any more
Since
questions.
nobody wants to answer up. Jake actually asked one of the questions of trying to clarify what makes
Good.
you a real estate professional. My husband and I did buy an investment property last year, and then we kind of did what typical new people in this market do. We freaked out and ended up selling it after 4 months. And obviously we're looking to invest again with more direction this time from somebody like you. What I know it's not as easy as just here's my money, go do what you do with it. What kind of work goes into it from us, from our standpoint?
Yeah. Well, technically it is that easy as here's my money and I'm investing into it. However, for your own peace of mind, okay, now it comes to your own level of peace of mind, which comes down to trust, right? It comes down to our ability to trust, our capacity to trust. What information do you need to get to the comfort level of that trust to say, here's my money, there's the deal, right? You want to see the deal, and you want to get on a call, we talk about it. And if you feel comfortable with me as an operator, you believe in the vision, you believe in the deal, then you say, okay, here's the money. It goes into a investor portal that goes into a bank account untouched, okay, until the deal closes, and it goes into closing the deal. That's it. So your money will not be used to do anything else. Okay, there's no mingling with the money that our investors put in to that account, and it just sits there until we close the deal. And then what we do is we have a 6-month stabilization period where we, go in and assess, like, okay, here's where the seller BS'd us, because they always will. There will always be something that they leave out that you didn't find, right? And you're like, oh man, there's one deal that, we looked at the tenant list, everything was good, and then we did our due diligence, and then when we got the deal, we're like, wow, 15 of 20 of these people were completely like 6 months behind on rent, and it wasn't shown on their P&L or their T12, which is, once you bought it. So then we're like, okay, now we got to evict these people. So we have 6 months of stabilization period where we transition everything over, and we keep that as the cushion. Okay, we raise a certain level of cushion, then we build 6 months of cushion, then we distribute the money on the 6 month. Now we distribute monthly. So people like monthly distributions, and I like every time we distribute, it makes me feel good. So we distribute money on a monthly basis, and it's on a 70-30 split on, whatever the returns are. And there's an underwriting. Basically, we underwrite it based on these rents, based on the conservativeness we put into it. This is what is the expected cash returns for you as an investor. So our deal right now is 3% going in, right? So as is, but the units are also $250 below market rents. So as soon as we increase those rents, that's $250 times 30 times 12 months. That's how much more we can distribute out. And then it goes up to 5%, and then 6%, and then 7%. And then we refinance the deal when we hit $1,450 average rents. And you get your money back and you stay in the deal. And then you do it again. We'll say, here's our next deal. Whenever we refinance, I already will have the next deal for you to get into. So we have very specific criteria in which we buy. That's something you also want to ask. What is your specific criteria when you look at a deal? Number one for us, location has to be awesome. Okay. And when I say awesome, I mean, it's got to be the timing of the market, and the location's got to be great. That means it's in a place that will appreciate for sure. Okay. So the market, the location, extremely important. Second, is it cash flowing day one? If you buy any deals in California, Miami, New York, any of these big saturated markets, expect to go in with no cash flow or negative. Okay. And they're going to say, well, we're going to give you a pref return of this. It's going to be accruing as soon as you invest, but you may not get the money the first year, but you'll get it later. And we'll increase the rents, and then we'll be able to bring you that cash flow. Sometimes, that works. But one of my like haves in the deal is it's got a cash flow day one. Second, what kind of debt is on the deal? Right. So a lot of people that have gotten in trouble. This is also something you want to learn, because as you learn what's happening in the market now, it can position yourself correctly. Is what they went in. Is this an adjustable loan? Right. Adjustable loan means it was at 3.2%. They were going to give this type of returns, but when it goes up to 6%, now your debt is doubled. Your payment to the bank is doubled. All right. So I'll just, for example, on doubling, okay, or on the increase of your expenses. If insurance, like our Texas deal and many other Texas deals, have lost a lot of cash flow and a lot of value in the building because insurance went from $600 a unit to $1,600 a unit. Okay, so that's $1,000 increase. It's almost $100 a month for the rents for each unit. That means if you were able to increase your units by $100, technically you should have gotten, there's a calculation, but depending on the number of units, a certain value that you've built onto the building by adding $100. Because multifamily, commercial is based on how much money you can make on your NOI, your net. That's how they determine the value of your building. Okay. That's extremely important to know. So if you've increased it and then all of a sudden insurance came, made your expenses go up, all the work that you did, that profit got wiped out. Okay. Because the expenses went up on it. So places like Florida, Texas, those are things that we have to consider. How's the debt? Is it adjustable? Second, if it's fixed, is it what we call step down prepayment penalty, which means the first year, if you pay back the first year, they're going to charge you 5%. If you pay it back the second year or you sell it, they're going to charge you 4%, and then 3%, and then 2%, and then 1%, and then none. All right. So that's the prepayment penalty. There's also something called a yield maintenance penalty, which is based on how much money, the opportunity the banks have with your refinance. So if you bought at 3% and you are going into yield maintenance, if you had step down, you have the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yield maintenance is now the bank can get rid of your loan at 3% and go give a new loan at 6%. They can make money off of getting rid of your loan, so now your prepayment penalty is lower. Right? That's how you exit. Now, if we're at a point where the interest rates are high, you don't want yield maintenance because it's going to come down. And then in the future, when you want to refinance or sell, it's going to cost the bank more money to get rid of your debt that's at 6% and give you 3 or 4%. So then they're going to charge you higher for the prepayment. So yield maintenance versus step down. So I guess the rule of thumb is when interest rates are low and you believe that it's going to go up, then you do yield maintenance. If interest rates are high and you believe it's going to come down, then you do step down. All right. That might be too high level. I don't know. But hear it once here. Yeah, over the head. But when you're in a deal and next time you hear and be like, oh my God, remember this word. What the hell did it mean? And then you look it up and then you'll know. All right. So that's another one. And the last thing is there has to be value add opportunity. Can we increase rents or lower expenses somehow? Okay, to increase the value of the property. That's got to happen. So those are the 4 things that is a have to when we look at deals. And as you get comfortable with the person that you've invested with, chances are you will go back and reinvest with them because there's less risk. So I hope that answered that question. John Shea, does the Vegas deal expect to have immediate cash flow? Yes. 3% going in, and then it will increase as we increase the rents. Okay, and we're going to run some midterm corporate housing and Airbnb on that property as well to increase the cash flow even more. All right. Well, I talked a lot. Thank you guys for participating and asking the questions, because these questions are where the most value is created on these calls. Some people may have the same questions, but they just don't want to ask. So kudos. You guys win an award for being awesome. Go ahead, Larry. And you're remembered. When you ask a question, you get remembered.
Hey, Alex. So I appreciate it. Sorry for jumping on and off. I've been here the whole time, but my daughter and I are cooking dinner together. So that's pretty special. Got to do that. Hey, so the property that you're talking about right now with, putting some Airbnb or some corporate housing on, is that the property that you shared with me that was like they're all 1 bedrooms?
They're all studios.
They're all studios. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I like that area. I've kind of been researching that. And so, yeah, I appreciate that. I was just had that question.
All right, cool. You coming in with us or what?
Yeah, I mean, maybe so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe so. It's 2 separate answers, but we'll talk later about it.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Right,
yeah,
cool.
I do have a couple questions. So
good. Bring them on. All right, thanks. Did you have a question? You didn't ask a question.
I was asking if that was the same property that you were doing the corporate housing on in the Airbnb.
Yes. We will do a webinar on this property next Wednesday on the whatever date the Wednesday is next week. And we will do a
17th,
webinar.
the 17th.
Okay. So we will send out like an invitation to everybody to kind of take a look at it. Even if you don't want to invest into it, at least, or if you're not ready to invest, at least be on it to learn. Right. Learn how a deal is pitched. What the hell am I even looking at? Right. And then the more you can see those, the better.
You can also, if I have like a SEP IRA, you can also take money from that, right? I can do it through any of these. Okay. Because that's part of my process is I've been looking and speaking with different, I forget the terminology.
Custodian.
Thank you. Custodian for transferring or holding those funds into a real estate investment. So
yeah, if you want, I can just give you the person to do it.
Say again.
I have somebody that I can just give to you that you just use, and it'd be an easy peasy thing.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. That'd be great.
Yeah. All right, I'll connect you to the person, and they can. So this is another question that wasn't asked, which is, can you invest with your IRA and 401ks? Yes, you can. You will have to change custodians from an IRA, a traditional one, to a self-directed. And then you can invest into real estate deals through that. Lots of people are doing it. Okay, real quick, Katie, go ahead. Did you say that's me, or did you have a question?
No, I had a question, and I told you I'm technologically retarded. I don't know how to put the hand up. What is the initial investment on your Vegas property I keep hearing about?
50,000 is minimum.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. And then I also have my YouTube channel also will here's my Instagram, Alex Lovely, and so is my YouTube, and everything is there. And this recording will be on there. All the other recordings, are on there, and I am releasing a series of videos on Vegas, on my life, on things that, philosophies, things like that. Jason, what's up, brother? Go ahead. So we'll take Jason, Donna, and Lorenzo, and then we will wrap this up.
Hey, Alex. Hey, everybody. I heard you say that the insurance at your properties in Texas went up, like more than doubled.
Yeah.
Why was that? That was this past year? I mean, they just upped it by $1,000. Like, is that because the insurance companies are, they know that you added value to the property, they know that your NOI's gone up, and that you can
natural
afford that?
disasters, a bunch of random shit happening in the world, hurricanes and ice storms hitting Texas, and they're like, oh, we don't know, now we're just going to charge more, because in these states, Texas, Florida, Idaho, where there's tornadoes and stuff like that, insurance companies are probably losing money all day, right? And they need some government subsidization. Maybe that's their incentive to stay. But if you look at Florida, there is one insurance company to insure your house. The insurance for my house in Florida is the same as the 30 unit here in Vegas. One house, 30 units, 370,000, 5 million. It's a no-brainer to be like, let me get out of this Florida property and go to Vegas, right? So what's great about these calls and what's great about technology these days is allow you not to, you don't have to be restricted to your backyard. If you're in New York, yeah, you're probably not going to buy anything over there, right? But you now have the ability to connect and network and build relationships with people that are investing in other states that have great opportunities. So yeah, insurance is just going up all the time in Texas and Florida and Idaho. And, you know, there's nothing you can do about that. You have to have those insurances. Okay. So you can fight it, but at the end of the day, it's a monopoly over there. So same with taxes. Taxes also went up. Taxes went up in Texas. All these things keep going up. Now, it's a great market to invest into because everyone's moving there. You can increase rents and all these things, but your expenses are also extremely high. You gotta underwrite them at least at 50%. You know, in Vegas, our deal, we're underwriting it at 28.8%. And I'm like, I already had to stuff a bunch of things in here too, just to be even more conservative. But because insurance and taxes are so low, you know, versus it's, I don't know, it's like $100. Wait, for ours, it's so 7,000. It's like $200 a year per unit versus Texas. Some units are $2,000 a unit. That hurts, man. That really hurts. Like when you think about that. All right.
Yeah. That kills your cash flow. You notice that.
And when it kills your cash flow and it kills your net, your bottom line, it lowers your value, your property value. So, you know, as great as those markets are, they got their issues and challenges. Not to say there's no good investments there. There are. There are everywhere. You take a map and you throw a dart at it and you can find a place with a good property. Go ahead, Donna.
Yep. Hey, I know this might be a tad advanced for some people here, but when you're participating, I just want to make sure I understand this. When you're participating in the risk capital side of an investment, that's also considered a part of the capital raising, that same money?
Yeah, so high level conversation, but okay. If you are a risk capital, so for example, I go into my deals, the reason why I prefer investing in my own deals versus someone else's right now is because I get this triple dip in a deal. The best way to invest into a deal is through risk capital. Now, there is a risk of losing it. If the deal doesn't close, you lose that money. But risk capital has a certain percentage on the general partnership table. Okay, it's usually between 10 to 15%. If I put money in there and we raise the money back out and I pull this money out, I still have 10 to 15% in the deal of the general partnership, okay, side. Because I put up the risk. Either I pull it out or not, you still get that percentage. Now, if I leave the money in the deal, I get the risk capital percentage, and then I also get a percentage of the capital raised. I raise that capital, which is mine, is part of the raise, and I get a little percentage there as well. Then it drops into the LP, the limited partner side, and I get it as an LP. Right? So there's deals where I am both. Like I get both limited partner and general partner returns. So I am a partner in the deal just like you guys. And I have two entities. My holdings company is my limited partner holding, and my management company is my general partner holding. Right? My limited partner holding is in across all of my deals. Anytime that I am a limited partner, it goes into this LLC. Even my share of, you know, businesses that I have will have this company as the holding of my asset, of my share in there. Now, the operational side, like I have an S Corp that runs my Airbnbs, that is a general partner on these deals, you know, that is a partner on my, you know, business, my media and marketing company, you know, my coaching company. Like my S Corp is all part of that. You know, that runs through it. I can take all the tax deductions on there all I want. So I have two kind of separate entities that hold my investment. So that will be on a separate conversation that I will bring my CPA on and talk about that. But it's also on my YouTube channel. If you look at the one that I did with Brent, he talks about it. Cool. Cool. All right. Last question, Lorenzo. Hey man, where you calling in from? You're muted. I'm not that good at lip reading.
I'm sorry about that. Hey, Alex. I'm in Orlando, Florida, but I was born and raised in New Jersey, Sussex County.
Jersey.
Jersey, stand up. I went to Vernon High School.
Okay. I went to Newark in college.
Nice. I know the whole area.
Okay.
I grew up in. I grew up on Newark, Elizabeth, Irvington,
Boom.
East Orange, West Orange, that whole area.
Nice.
But all right. So I worked in business finance, helping small business owners get capital since 2013. Banks
Nice.
closed down in 2020, and I got into real estate. I work in telecommunications, and now I'm learning about multifamily. I've been learning from Grant Cardone, and I'm in his group. But
Nice.
I'm new to multifamily, and there's so many areas to learn. But I have a great sales background, networking, and a lot of contacts. So with this time that I want to invest into multifamily, like where would somebody like me start? I have no problem picking up the phone. I could write a pitch. I can call. I can organize. I understand systems and data. But what's the I don't want to say the quickest way to the bag because I'm willing to put in the work, but what should somebody like me be doing daily?
Daily, so here's what I did daily, okay? And not everybody will have the capacity to do this, but last year, the reason why I was able to raise $10 million is because I network like crazy. I did 11 Zoom calls a day. 11. Okay. I was set at 10, but I was like, I need to do one better than what I set mine to do. So I did 11 Zoom call a day for the entire year. And just think about the network and the people that I've met. Okay. 11 a day for 365 days. Probably not every day. Okay. I exaggerated a little bit. Sorry, but most of those days. And, but huge, how many people I've met through that, whether it's they're doing their own deals or my deals, I didn't care. I just want to get to know people. And so just get to know people. Don't have, I would say one of the traps you want to avoid when you're networking is don't have an agenda behind it. Like you're not looking for anything from them, right? You're just trying to really discover what's the possible synergies here, right? And that requires you to actually have a curious mind, not like a script in your mind that you're about to speak to somebody. You're going to drop a script on them, but I'm legitimately curious about what you're up to, and you're in Grant Cardone's real estate club.
Yes.
Yeah. Great place to network. Get to know everybody there. Find the people that are actually doing deals, right? There's a handful of people in that club that are actually doing deals. Everybody else is just trying to do it. Okay. And where everybody gets stuck is they feel like they got to do it on their own. And they're like, I can do this. I can find a deal. And here's the other trap. 5 brand new people coming together trying to get a deal done. It's the slowest and the most crazy way to do it.
Okay.
Right. Like I'm worried about them, and I'm worried about the investors as well that they're going to bring in, because, across the board, if anybody is losing money as an investor, that hurts the entire industry. Right. Like that Houston deal, the $250 million deal that I got foreclosed on in Houston, that hurts the entire industry for that happening. I'm not happy about that. Right. Like, you gotta just be real in this game. And the more real you can be with yourself, of where your journey is, post on social media. Hey, I'm on this journey. What's the fastest way for me to create engaging posts that are going to ask people, what do you guys think about multifamily as an asset? What do you guys think about Savannah as a market? What do you think about Vegas as a market? Right? Create the engagement. What you'll find is people that are investors. You'll find people that already got information. You'll find the people that are your cheerleaders and people that are not your cheerleaders, and people that are negative, which you just kind of want to avoid in the beginning. Right? You'll make them believers when you create results for yourself. The other thing extremely important is to have a great CRM. So legends are Nick and Ryan and Chris. In part of our legends group, we have created a CRM specifically to help you curate and nurture your investor list. Have an investor list, which is extremely important everybody that you talk to, that they should be inside a system somewhere. You should be able to reach them again. Okay. Don't try to create new investors every single deal, excuse me, but have this portal. This is extremely important to start for any business. You want to have a opt-in system, a CRM. So Legends CRM is the website. Check it out. Legends CRM. Nick has created a 3-hour course on there as well for people to use. And we have templates and workflows already designed for everybody in there. And we have ongoing trainings every Wednesday on our Facebook group for that Legends CRM. Second thing is we have a 15-day challenge coming out soon, which everybody can also use when you have as your lead magnet. And then when you use that, people, the 15-day challenge, the goal here is that everybody by the end of the 15-day challenge will know exactly where they are, right? This is where I am. This is what I'm capable of doing. This is what I like doing. And the next step is, how do you find the team? And when people move up to the next team group coaching, that's going to be, you know, there's a price for the find your team group, and anybody that you brought into that through your funnel, you will get a commission for. So we will start to roll that out, probably starting like next week or something. So yeah, that's the process. And you know, I want to do whatever I can to help people move forward. Some things you got to pay money to get speed. So you're in that group, great, awesome, join it. People in our group, Legends Mastermind, everyone that has the background here, amazing people. We talk about real estate, we teach real estate, we get an opportunity to do deals together. These are going to be the first people that will be general partners on any of my deals. They will get the first opportunities because they learn with me every single week. Right? I can count on them to run deals the way that I think about it, and I will run it. So yeah, there is also that. And you all have you can all reach me through Instagram on that, my handle right there. DMs are probably the fastest way to reach me. I'm always looking at my Instagram. It's ridiculous. It's probably, I don't even do anything on it. I don't post my videos. I have a team that handles all of that, but I'm just like, Instagram, let me look at it. Let me look at it. Probably like 1,000 times a day. So yes, I am very responsive on there. Allie knows. That's how we got connected, through Instagram.
Nice. Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Hey, Allie. So now that, you know, we're coming to an end of this, I do want to say that, you know, my video guy is here working with me on creating my story and my avatar, and I've named my avatar Allie. So inspired by you. So thank you for being a great cheerleader and a great friend, and looking forward to doing something together very soon. Okay. All right, campers. Thank you all for being here and spending this time with me today.
Alex, that whole time I'm screaming and yelling over here. I'm on mute.
Oh, it's all right. I heard it in my heart. Thank you.
You're the best.
Yeah. All right, cool. So Thursday nights, I do underwriting calls. So it's a little bit deeper than this. You know, I will usually have speakers and people that come next week. If you guys know Zasha from Hawaii, she is going to be joining us on this call as my guest speaker. And she's done an amazing job moving from a 9-to-5 to creating financial independence for herself and doing it all in Hawaii. So amazing. And who else? More guest speakers coming soon. But Thursdays, underwriting. We move into a more serious, deeper conversation about how to do deals. We talk about debt. We talk about everything that leads up to closing. All right. So, yeah. And then Sundays and Wednesdays, I do a call on spirituality, aligning our inner world and ourselves. And yeah, that's at 10 a.m. All the links are in my bio in the link tree in my Instagram. Feel free to sign up for any of it. You will get reminders. And yeah, the Zoom link and all of that. And then if you follow me on Instagram, I will bombard your face every single day. All right. You're all amazing. Thank you for being here. Really great meeting you, Katie. And hey, who introduced you over here? Who sent you over here? Katie? I just would like to know who sent this amazing soul over to our to our call on Monday? You're muted.
Muted. Dylan.
Dylan. Oh, great. There he is down there. All right. Awesome.
I had to go scroll for the name.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, Dylan is great.
Thank you so much for the information. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All friends of Dylan, friends of mine for sure. We're in very similar circles and interests. All right. Y'all be safe and have an amazing night. See you guys on Thursday, hopefully. All right. Much blessings to everybody. Good night. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.